And we are live. Raider Nation, welcome to Show Me Your Shield podcast, the week of March 24th, 2026. Getting pretty close to the draft.
Yeah, just a month
And
away.
is there a delay? Hold on a second. I had a delay. I got it. Sorry about that, crowd. Fans. But it's time to wake up because tonight ain't about stats. It's not about records, and damn sure isn't about being comfortable, folks. Tonight we're talking about what it means to wear the shield once and for all. We're talking about the loyalty, the pain, the pride, and the question nobody wants to answer out loud. Are the Raiders still the Raiders, or have we changed from, or willing to admit that we have changed? Because I see it. I feel it. There is a split in the Raider Nation. Subtle in some cases, but greater in others. And some of y'all are just now figuring out what it means to belong to the nation. And what I mean by that is that there's generational gaps. Duncan is a couple generations behind me as well. But here's the question I need everybody to answer tonight. Are you here for the wins or are you here for the shield? Do you want a team that competes or do you want a team that dominates? Because we're about to hear from someone who's been locked in since 1980, seen it all, lived it all, and never took that shield off for a single second. And I got to ask, if the Raiders never win another Super Bowl, are you still here? Or does that loyalty only last when things are easy? Tonight, we find out what Raider Nation is really made of. So if you're ready, if you believe, if you still feel that fire, you still feel that passion, drop your answers in the chat right now. Let's get the shield moving. Are you ready there, Duncan?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Raider Nation! Stop scrolling. The silver and black conversation starts right here. Hot takes, real fans, no filters. This is the show where Raider Nation speaks. So crank it up! And show me your shield!
So here we are. Welcome to the stage. Longtime friend of mine, Raider fan through and through. It's in his blood. It's in his soul. It's in his DNA. It's in his family. He's part of the nation, Raider Nation. Good friend of mine, Lopez. Introduce yourself, brother.
How you doing? My name is Al Lopez. I've been a Raider fan since 1980. I've been a friend of Jason's. From about 1985
86,
or so.
85, 86, yeah.
Right around that time. We went to school together. Elementary school. Well, not elementary, but later on. We did play baseball at George Costa Fields. Right around that time-ish, we're around the same people and friends. Yeah,
Small community.
My school, yeah, it's a very small community, and then through junior high and high school, yeah. Then reconnected again. We reconnected again as we got older and became, I noticed that you were a big Raider fanatic, and a really cool little tidbit too, Jay. Our boys are best friends.
Ain't that crazy?
yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
And they couldn't be like any more different than us, right? Where you and I were jocks and and playing ball and kicking balls, and
they're not.
and they're not, and they're intellectuals. They're very educated, very smart, So yeah. I'm okay with that, Jay. I am totally okay with that.
Same here, brother. Same here. Yeah. Well, we're going to kick this off. We're going to test. First and foremost, we're going to dive into your fandom. So hopefully you drank a lot of water today and got your memory cues all in and whatnot. Might be a couple war stories thrown in there. Who knows? But we're going to dive into your fandom a little bit and let the people out there in YouTube world kind of hear a different perspective from another fan. kind of in the same genre as what we are. And, my partner here, he's from around here. He's a 209er. He's a 209er. He just don't live in a 209 no more. So,
right.
But younger generation, which we're super proud to have, because we got to keep this tradition going and live. And my co-host Duncan, it's your turn, my friend. Start getting some facts out of this guy.
Yeah. Well, before we hit you with the questions, let's acknowledge some of the chat real quick. We got Jack coming in with always Jack? First, never late.
Mm-hmm.
805 Raider, what's up?
Salute 805.
And then the real Dixon Cider.
Dixon Cider. Salute, brother.
Yeah, man. Like Jason keeps hitting, like we got a bunch of different generations throughout Raider Nation. So everybody kind of has a different story to tell when it comes to their perspective. And I always enjoy really listening to the older generations back when the Raiders truly had glory days.
Yeah.
Because really all I had was the first era of John Gruden where we made it to the AFC Championship and lost, and traded him, aka fired, and then made it to the Super Bowl for him to kick our butts. And then it's just been a very slow roller coaster since then, of mostly downs.
Yes, most definitely.
I mean, we've only had, since the Super Bowl loss, we've only had 2 playoff appearances, so it's just kind of crazy. But how are you feeling about this current regime of Raiders that we got going on under Spytek?
Despite all the turnovers in leadership and coaches over the last 20 years, 23 years, this one feels different to me. This feels different. And I can touch on a couple reasons why it feels different. For instance, there's something about Coach Kubiak and his he looks like a man who is about it and doesn't just talk about it. He has a stoic appearance about him, and I can go on about that in stoicism because it's a big part of my life and me studying stoicism. But he appears he's not like Coach Carroll, who was a talker, or Antonio, or even John. He seems like he's reserved and he's about putting it out on the field. It's just, there's something about him. I'm buying it. I'm buying it. Come on, man. We've seen all these coaches come and go and come and go. I remember, Jack Del Rio, and Dennis Allen sometimes just trying to plead to the fans that, that they were good and they were working hard and trying to fix things. I haven't seen Kubiak even hint at pleading like, it's going to be this or it's going to be that. He's like, we're not going to do it here in this media room. We're going to do it on the field. And the bodies that they have brought in particular, I'm really high on the linebackers, Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean. And I can get into why I'm really high on them later if you'd like. But when it comes to this new regime and the way they're doing things, another little tidbit is after the season was over and we found out that, like Ashton Genty was having to go to Spytek and watch tape with him because he wasn't understanding, why am I doing so poorly? What is going on here? And he couldn't go to Carroll or any of his coaches, right? So he went to Spytek, and Spytek said, you can come in here and watch video. We can watch tape together anytime you want. Like, hearing about that, just, it's heartbreaking to think that this young man who was just so good in college comes to the NFL and is completely, opposite of what he was in college, that he had no other choice but to go to the GM and say, hey man, help me out here. What's going on? They knew things were bad, but to see what they have done, what Spytek has done, and to Mark Davis has handed over the keys and said, run this thing, right? and it'll all come out in the wash, right? It'll all come out in the wash when we start to see what they are doing. And I think Kubiak has a system. They're going to implement it. And maybe Ashton gets the exact same yards as he did last year, but it's going to look better. It's going to look different. People know that this system that he runs, it's going to take us there. It's going to get us there.
Yeah.
The issue I see is that we as fans, we need to cool our jets, man. Like, I think the biggest problem
Salute,
is
Marcus.
a lot of times is us, and we put too much pressure, and we start running our mouths, especially on Twitter. I've been on Twitter since 2008 solely for Raider content, because we can go on this later as well, but trying to get Raider content, for the last 46 years, has been an adventure. But to answer your question, this coach and this system that he's brought in and the players that we have brought in has really got me buying what he's selling.
Yeah. So we're gonna get right into the fandom real quick with you. Salute to everybody that's coming in. Pull up, take a seat. We're gonna get you guys going as well. I'm gonna fire off. We gotta. I'm just gonna lay it straight with you. Take us back to 1980 when you became a fan. What made you fall in love with the Raiders?
Check this out, Jay. And check this out. I hope there's other people that are out there like this, right? But my dad is a Vietnam vet, military guy. He did his time, and he raised me. I needed a strong hand to raise me. Let's just put it that way. I was a little knucklehead, right? But for the most part, my dad's a good dad. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. That's not the point here. But he was the regulator in our house, and I was the little punk in the house. So there was a dynamic going on. But every time the Raiders played, my dad would watch them, and starting in 79 ish. But I missed out on Stabler. I missed out on Madden. So when the first games I watched were, Tom Flores and the team that went and beat the Eagles. Yeah. So every time the Raiders would score a touchdown, my dad would go nuts in the living room. Yeah. He'd be jumping and screaming, "Touchdown, Raiders!" Yeah. And as a little boy who looked up to his father and also, was intimidated by him, to see my dad in such a vulnerable, happy state was incredible to me. My eyes lit up. It was like, and so he would grab me and, yeah, Raiders, and we'd be jumping together and slapping high fives. And it was a moment that we connected in a way that we connected that we had never connected before, Yeah. And so, I enjoyed watching football with my dad because I got to see this other guy who wasn't always just, the regulator coming home from work, and then hearing my mom say, well, you know what your son did today? No, man, it was football, and he almost always, had some kind of meals that he made. And it was the first times I'd ever had like shrimp cocktails. My dad would make a shrimp cocktail, a big bowl of it. And we'd sit and eat shrimp cocktail and watch Raiders together. And it was just like the coolest bonding moment. That's how my Raider fandom started. And it only tumbled from there, because they were winning. They won a lot. They scored a lot. So there was a lot of touchdown Raiders celebrations in my house. He used to play that song by Carlos Santana, Touchdown Raiders. So that's how my fandom started, literally because my dad and him connecting and watching together.
Yeah. So those in the chat, if you want to type it in, what year you became a Raider fan? Type it in the chat. Let us know. Donuts, next one.
Yeah, Al. If I'm not mistaken, you sit in section 323. Yeah. What was the energy like in the games that you went to? Can you paint a picture for us?
Yeah. So I've been going to the let's go back a little bit. Let me add some context to this. First game I ever went to, I believe was in '86, and it was in Los Angeles. Right. My first game was a Los Angeles Raider game. I think it was against the Broncos, and then we went to another game in '87, I believe it was. It was against the Seahawks, and I got Steve Largent's autograph. But when they came back to Oakland, we went to quite a few of the games. You know, they came back in '96, '97, around that time. I was a new father in '97, so it took a little bit, but I did go to games, maybe 1 or 2 games a year here and there. But it was probably, oh my gosh, around 2017 or so when me and my dad finally purchased season tickets. And we were able to get four seats all right next to each other up in 323, and which was right below the jumbo screen on the south end of the Coliseum. And my dad actually loved those seats better than any seat in the house. If we'd gotten end zone, black hole tickets before, we'd sat in the black hole. He didn't like them because he couldn't see the other side of the field. When we were on the 50-yard line one time, we were up front. He couldn't see over the players. So Dad loved having the tickets up there in 323 because we could see the whole field and you could see the plays develop. It was really cool sitting up there because those were the cheap seats. Those were $25 a game. So we paid just under $1,500 for 4 seats for the entire season. That's including preseason. I mean, it was an incredible bargain deal. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't want them to leave, because I knew those prices were done for as soon as they left. Yeah. But 323 was it was pretty chill. There were hardcore people up there. You had to be hardcore to go sit in nosebleeds above the south end zone. And you got to recognizing and knowing other people around the area who came to all the games, so we got to recognizing, some of the guys. I've some good friends on Twitter. I'm still, casual friends with them on Twitter who I met up there. And it was a good, man, we always got baked in the sun. But we had one of the best views of Khalil Mack's pick 6 off of Cam Newton against the Panthers, and got to see that whole thing. And anytime there was any Jacoby Ford's game against the Chiefs, we saw all that from up there. So it was a great time. It was incredible. It was peak, Oakland Raider football for us to sit up there in 323. Yeah, good time.
Nick, what was the hardest season that you stayed loyal through, and why didn't you walk away? Chat also put in there, what was your most difficult season to go through?
You know what? I wanted to immediately say, Jamarcus Russell, that era, especially his first game. And was it a Monday night game at home against the Chargers, and they whooped us like 27-0. And you even brought that up when we saw Marcellus Wiley, right?
Yeah.
Was it that game, Jay?
Why don't you tell him about the Marcellus Wiley incident?
Well, I've always thought he's a punk, especially once he was out of football. He made it sound like he was the greatest thing ever, and he was just, mid, right? And I had seen him on something or another, and he was talking just smack about the Raiders and this, and then to see him after the actual game walking
right by us,
man, I wasn't going to let that fly, especially in Oakland, and I'd let him have it with a few words. But that's not the first time. I'm guilty of it. I can tell you another day, another time, about the time we met Rodney Harrison in the end zone before a game when he was out there warming up. We've had words with him too. But but I will tell you something that I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, that this year I actually there was a few games where I was like, so what? I got to leave during the second quarter to go pick up my son from work, and I found myself, especially probably the last 5 games where I was like, okay, for the good of the team, for the good of the nation, I know these guys don't play it this way. I know they don't care what we think. But if this team wants to really and truly do it right, they need to lose out. They need to lose out. At that point, I was already looking at Fernando like, my gosh, this guy is the perfect candidate for the Raiders. Even if he'd have lost or wouldn't have made it to the Natty or whatever, in my opinion, it takes somebody really special to be at the helm of the pirate ship for us because I think Derek did a good job with it. But I know I'm getting off track, but this year was really hard, Jay, because I haven't missed a game in years, but there were times where I had errands to do and I was like, so what? The game's on. I can miss 30 minutes of it. This is horrible. This is some of the worst football I have watched, and I can't remember how long.
Yeah. Next fact came in saying that the Ziegler and McDonough scapegoat season of Carr was his most hated season.
Yeah, you know what? And a lot of that, I think that there are two guys that thought they were greater than God coming in here, and we're gonna rewrite our future, I guess you can say, and how they went about it and what they did. You know, it's like so a lot of people are saying we're rebuilding this year, right? To be quite honest with you, the rebuild started 4 years ago. Once John Gruden got pushed out the door, that's when the rebuild started. We just ain't done it right. That's the problem.
Yeah,
we just ain't done it right.
No.
So now it seems like having a GM that has ultimate autonomy over his own decisions, and being able to make those decisions is what he's been groomed to do his whole career, his professional career.
Yeah,
and be able to do those things that the reason why we hired him, you know. But having said that, Duncan, you want to take the next one?
Yeah. Chat, go ahead and comment also on this question. Al, what's one Raiders moment you witnessed that you'll never forget?
Good or bad, or do you want both?
Either or. Just give us one.
The one that it really popped in your mind first.
It's a bad one. It really hurt for a long time. Andre Rison's catch in the corner of the end zone against us, and when he was a Chief, and it crushed us, man. I'll never forget, because I remember thinking to myself, Andre Rison's going to catch it in the corner. Do you guys see it? I hope they play it. And he caught it in the corner, and they beat us. And I'll never forget that. I was fuming. I was pissed for probably a week. And fortunately for me, there was two friends of mine. To this day, they're still some of my best friends that we worked together. And literally every Monday when we got to work, we just, that whole week, we were just Andre Rison at work, all week long. And like, come on. But that's a negative one. As far as like Jacoby Ford's performance in that Chiefs game was something I got to witness firsthand. Was really incredible. I really did like watching Derek do his comeback thing in the end of games. It's like he turned into a Superman in some of those games. And I'm not here to be all Mr. Derek Carr stan, but I felt he was a good Raider. He did right by us, and he represented us well while he was in the silver and black.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good memories. Probably the most notable bad memory was the Monday night Brett Favre thing. Was watching our secondary just whiffing at lollipops, because that's all he was doing was throwing lollipops, and they were whiffing on him. It was embarrassing. But the most treasurable moment will always be that AFC Championship game against the Titans. When we had Metallica open it up in the parking lot. Man, it was insane. What's going on, Jack? Salute. Thanks for coming in.
You know what, Jay, to add on to that Metallica game, I was supposed to be going, and I didn't get coverage for me at work. So I actually had to work. And one of my buddies was nearby when Metallica came out in that diesel truck container. But I was at work, and without telling you too much about what I did for a living, my boss put me in a situation where I was able to keep an eye on the game and still get my work done. And there just so happened to be one of the facilities nurses there, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Al, you're going crazy over this. Can I just check your blood pressure real quick?" And it was close to 200, and she wanted to send me home.
Oh,
and I was like, no, this is just me. This is a standard operating procedure for me, And I watched quite a bit of it, and still got all my work done, and took care of business. But yeah, that's where I watched that game at. And I was so sore about that too. I wanted to be there. Yeah. Oh, I know a good one. When the Raiders beat the Jets to get into the playoffs, and Charlie Garner caught that swing pass and took it all the way in. Oh, we went nuts. We went nuts. That place was so loud and shaking and rocking. It was incredible. I watched that one from Mount Davis. Yeah.
I never sat on Mount Davis. I always sat in 206. I had section 330 for about 2 years, and then I moved over to 206.
Okay.
But Jack Kennedy coming in. Metallica is my favorite band ever. Saw them 3 times. First time was before they got big at yeah.
Hey Jack, I'm trying to go see them at the Spear if I can find a way.
Oh,
if you wait a little bit, sometimes the tickets will get cheap. I got to see the Eagles the day before our home opener against the Chargers this year. And when I first looked, just a heads up to everybody listening. When I first looked up the tickets, they were $940 a ticket at the Spear to see the Eagles. When the actual day came and I checked in the morning, they had gone down to $140. And that's when I snatched up 2 of them and went. So maybe there's a chance for us, Jack, to go see Metallica. They are one of my favorite bands ever. Haven't had a chance to see them live yet. But right on, bro.
No.
Next fact was saying the Harris punt return touchdown.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible. He was so smart about it too. Oh,
that was fun.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
Yeah. One of the biggest moments I remembered was in 2016 against the Colts when Carr went down. That to me, like looking back on it, that was kind of like the beginning of the end of our constant just muddling every season. As we had so much potential that year, and he never should have been in at the time of the game he was in when he got hurt.
Yeah.
And that was the downfall of Jack Del Rio. That was the downfall of Reggie McKenzie, who was our last good GM.
Oh, he as a draftnik, I loved Reggie. Yeah.
And he really focused on making sure the trenches were solid. As we could get consistent play from our offense and defensive line every single game when we had Reggie McKenzie as the GM.
Yeah.
Then for a good one, it was the Hunter Renfrow on the punt return where he saw they had a guy open and came and made that stop. Was that against the Chargers, I think?
Yeah. Chargers, yes. Yeah. That is Raider legacy. 20 years from now, I'll see somebody wearing a Renfrow jersey and go, right on, bro. Because he's cemented. He's cemented, Renfrow. I would love for Renfrow to play with us for the next 20 years. I don't care if he's 46 years old lining up for us. I will always love Renfrow for the years that he was with us, and especially that heads up play. That was just so, that's got to be in my top 10. That's definitely in the top 10.
But I think that goes back to how Next Effect was saying that Ziegler and McDonough seasons, because they really ruined a lot of Raider fan favorites. Just completely blew up the fan favorites when it came to their roster construction.
And I think in a totality, you're absolutely right. Totality, just by some of the things, the moves that they did and the things that they were doing, it really dissented Raider Nation in and of itself. It almost divided the football team from the fans by
Yeah.
what they were doing. And
I remember when we scored him, when he signed, I remember going to the wife and telling her how excited I was that we got him, because offensively, I just thought, okay, he's going to put it together, right? We got Derek, we got Devontae, he's going to put it all together. And she was just like, nope, he's a weasel. He has the most punchable face I've ever seen. And I just think he's a jerk and this and that. And my wife, man, she calls it like she sees it, and she's always right. But I wanted to believe it. I had wanted to believe it. I was like, this guy, you know what I mean? Look what he did with, and God, did he screw it? And
that's what my wife did with Pete Carroll. She's like, I don't like him. I just don't like him. He just doesn't have the right attitude. I don't like him.
Yeah.
Like, no, he's a good coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's a good coach. And then by week 5, I go, you know what? You're right.
Devontae always reminds me of like those old school cartoon stuck up characters where they're always pointing their nose upward as they're walking away. Like, that's just his look. It's like, oh God.
Yeah.
But that was short lived. I mean, and what's crazy is like, even though that wasn't that great of a season, he still had one of his best years in his career.
Yeah.
That season with Carr.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, McDumbass thought that it wasn't good enough, even though it was like everything else on the team just wasn't clicking.
And I wanted it to work. I really wanted it to work with him. I really thought he had changed his ways from Denver. I really thought that he had grown up. And in many ways, I think he did, because he would have the player meetings and he tapped Antonio on the shoulder to be like, hey, help me connect with some of these guys. Help me get this right, and but I think it was interpreted by men in that locker room as, this guy's a punk. He's not. Yeah. But Antonio was the opposite. He's a grown ass man. And the guys looked at him like, why is this coach over here? What is McDaniels doing over here? Like, whatever. We're looking at Antonio like, you're the man.
So with McDaniels, the biggest issue with McDaniels is like he was a control freak. And so he tried to control everything from the locker room to the bathroom to the soda machine to the vending machines to the everything had to be a certain way. Like that he really didn't like guys being jovial in the locker room. He thought that was bad. That's bad juju. People being jovial and happy and having a good conversation in the locker room. Especially like after a practice or something like that. So he
I get that, Jay.
He run the character. He run the character of what we actually had started to establish again with John Gruden. Granted, I was not a fan of hiring John Gruden 2.0. I still think that was a big mistake in and of itself.
Oh no, I was with it. Yeah.
But it was starting to somewhat bring us back to what we gave up when we fired Jack Del Rio, or that second year of that last year of Jack Del Rio.
Yeah,
so,
and we've been in a bunch of turmoil, just constant turnover, coach after coach after coach, and it's starting to become GM after GM also.
Yeah.
And with all these tough times that we've had, chat now, what does it mean wearing that shield? Like, what does it mean to you?
So unfortunately, and this is just my opinion, right? We're also opinionated as Raider Nation, right? Ultimately, this season, in my opinion, left us with only our colors. If there's one thing, you can the Raiders can go 2-3 and 14. The one thing that we will always have is the best colors in the NFL, hands down. every team, almost every team in the NFL has some kind of black home or away jersey now, right? You know, everybody's trying to incorporate into black into their uniforms. Look at the Niners now. They're literally the Atlanta Falcons, right? They're black and red. They have a black jersey now. And I see more people wearing their black jersey than they are their old, burgundy and gold jerseys, right?
Yeah, but they only rent their jerseys. They don't buy them.
So, yeah, and so, when you look at these other teams that are trying to wear black and every shape and form now, they're not ever going to be the silver and black, right? So that's literally all for me. I wear my Raider gear all year round, and when I went to the home opener against the Chargers this last season, I think I spent about $400 there at the Raider Image, because I was like, all right, let's go. Let's, I'm hyped. I'm there. And as a brand, when it comes to the Raiders, Al Davis said it best. When you talk about, sports, the pinstripes, it's global, right? Everybody knows what you're talking about, right? When you talk about the purple and gold, everybody's talking about the Lakers. When you say silver and black in Tokyo, they know it's the Raiders, right? It's worldwide. It doesn't surprise me that the Raiders are the 5th richest team now in the NFL.
I think they're around 8. They were 10 last year. We moved up 2 more spots.
I saw a list not too long ago that had them listed at 5. That's why I went off that. But essentially, when we were in Oakland, we were the poorest. Now we're in the top 10. Let's just say top 8. Okay, I think it's fair to say. Wait till we start winning. Kubiak, Mendoza, Crosby, new defense.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I think I was telling Jay this the other day at breakfast. I remember the 2003 season when we went to the Super Bowl against Tampa. The Raiders were so popular here in town. Everybody was sporting their gear. And some guy even opened up a Raider store here in town, and it prospered for that 2-3 years. And then it shut down because then we started losing again. But when when people say that the NFL is better when the Raiders are winning, yeah, that's true. But financially, the Raiders go through the roof. The amount of people in the Raider Image the day before the home opener, because that's when I did the tour, and during the game was incredible. It's a cash cow. They couldn't keep Brock Bauer jerseys in stock, right? When we start winning, which is going to start this year and moving forward, it's going to blow up. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do crack the top 5 and 4. But as far as like me, I wear my Raider gear all year round. I live in the Central Valley. There's quite a lot of Raider fans here. And when we see each other, whether it's at Kaiser or at the flea market, it's always a fist bump and go Raiders. And I don't see Niner fans doing that around here.
No, they're adopted.
They're the stuck-up fans.
Yeah, I don't concern myself.
Niner fans I've always seen as the snobby fans of the NFL.
So since we've kind of talked about that, we kind of been around that. Let's hammer this for real quick. What do you think makes a real Raiders fan?
I like somebody who will talk about the players and the plays and their history with the Raiders in terms of like us chopping it up about Renfro's hit, like man,
memories. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. We really relish those. There's no doubt about that.
And then when we start talking about players in terms of like, when we talk about Max or the one we never talk about, Colt Miller, our left tackle. He's quiet. He does his job. He's that quiet leader. He's just, when he's healthy, he holds it down, and I love guys like that, and I'd love to talk about guys like that with with guys like Jay and some of my partners, at work. So
yeah. For those of you that are in the chat, I know there's not a whole lot still in the chat, but those of you will be. Thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it. Jack Kenna, most definitely. Thank you, brother, for coming in. So to answer your question, Jack, if you in Sacktown do stop by, let me know if you're going to stop by the day before. I'll make you guys some road sandwiches or something, some really good stuff that you guys can take on the road and eat. Some maybe a little tri-tip and some queso to go with it. So just hit me up on that when you guys get ready to go.
Anytime you get a chance to eat some of Jay's food, do it.
No.
Especially if he's smoking on the Traeger.
Nah.
Lopez, are you going to the Bakersfield summer kickoff event?
I hadn't planned on it yet. I'm working on doing something here in town. My brother brought this up that we have some nephews, a niece and nephew that have never been to Raider games. And there's a lot of us who have friends of mine that have kids that age as well that never made it to a Raider game. And we're thinking of renting one of these parks over here, like Smyrna Park, and watching a game there out in the open and everybody kind of basically tailgating there on a Sunday morning when there's a Raider game, preferably early in the season when it's not too cold.
Or too hot. Or too hot.
Yeah, or too hot. But I ran this by a few friends of mine, and they were like, "Oh, that'd be great," because some of us have trailers. We could bring our trailers, and throw everything in the trailer, go down there, and basically do an Oakland Raider tailgate at our local park with all our friends here and family, and have that same kind of hopefully atmosphere.
It would be cool to get maybe one of the Black Hole chapters that's around here to maybe do something here in the Modesto area as well. I know they have one in Sacramento. They have one. The Raider Bash in Bakersfield is huge. I know. It was pretty big last year. It would be kind of cool to have one around here. So some of the guys from Fresno and Sacramento and stuff could come down to Modesto and I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the upfront cost would be ridiculous to get a nice venue to host a ton of Raider fans, have a DJ, all that good stuff.
My brother-in-law is a DJ, so that would be free. Yeah.
So Duncan, you want to take up number 9 real quick?
Yeah. Next fact answered our question about true Raider fans, though. It says Raiders are those who don't put themselves above the shield and show a commitment to excellence.
Yeah. Raider fans are born, and you two, the same as me. We were born into the culture. We were born into it. It's not something that you just. There are a lot of Raider fans that didn't have the opportunity. I know 401 Raider Jeff is. He comes from a family from the New England area that. He bought into the Raider culture because he liked it. He just saw, in the late 70s that just enticed him, and he just bought into it and has been with it ever since. But a lot of us, especially like our generation now, is our dads, come from the same background, and like my dad was a huge Darryl LaMonica fan,
Okay.
And it just carried over. It just kept going and going and going. And sometimes, it would piss my mom off because he'd want to watch football on Sundays and she wants him to do stuff. And it's like that didn't happen with me.
Yeah.
If the Raiders are on, I'm watching the Raiders. We'll figure out anything other than my daughter's wedding in October is scheduled on a Sunday. That's the only time that I will miss, or the birth of my child. So fortunately, my son was born the day before the Raider game. So,
I got another question. It's kind of more of a generational advice question.
All right.
You guys have been Raider fans for a lot longer than I have. With all of our lackluster performances over the past 20 years or so, how do you balance putting the shield above the players every single year? So this year, obviously, we already had the big drama with Max Crosby, and like the whole fan base got completely split on, oh no, we keep him no matter what. He's a Raider for life. And you got some petty fans saying, oh, get his B ass out of here because he don't want to be a part of us anymore. And other people are just straight up saying Max is the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance out, like, because we are Raider fans. Like, it's completely fine being player fans too, but like, how do you put that shield above everything else?
For me in particular, I flashed back to the Khalil Mack trade. And I was at the flea market with my dad, local flea market. We have a really nice flea market here in town, and we like to go eat there, right? And I remember the breaking news happening, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. But there's also the old school longtime Raider fan in me, and obviously I follow the draft. I have followed the draft religiously since 1994, and I still have my Mel Kiper books that I used to buy from him at the time. They were these blue books. Anyways, so I've always been a big fan of the draft and getting better that way. But when I saw the picks, I just remember thinking, okay, this is the way to build. We need to build. We can't have new coaches every 2 years and not have a system. We need a coach. He needs to have a system, and he needs to draft for it. Here's our opportunity. Gruden can now draft for it. Okay. And then we all know how that happened. So I understand the logic. I get it. Okay. If you have an individual, say for instance, like Max, where poor Max, right, just like poor Derek, is loyal to the team, does everything for the team, and then 5-6 years later, we're still just inept. At what point do we finally go, hey, look, Max, we love you so much, go be free, right? Like a butterfly, right? You love them so much, like a butterfly, let them go. If they return back to you, they were meant to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with Max, I get it, and it's hard for us fans to understand that this guy is every second of his life is wanting to win. And really, when's the last time we've seen players like that? In my opinion, it's been Jordan, Kobe, Ray Lewis, right? Who were just these guys, and I know he's a Raven, but that dude was one hell of a motivator and devoted every single thing to getting better on the football field. And I believe Max is in that caliber, and it's hard for us laymen's to understand that. But I think it was probably best for both parties. Max was like, I'm not doing this again. I need to go win a ring. I need to be in that company. And this franchise has not put forth a situation that'll help him do that, because we've just been so misaligned for so long. But in terms of dealing with these players who sometimes they want to move on, or they want to do this or do that, and still loving the team, I find it incredible that a young man like yourself, Jack Hanna, 1974, man, we're gonna die soon probably because of our colors and our shield. It's gonna
talking about that. So I'm going to dive a little bit into one of the things that you said with the Mac, when we made the Khalil Mack trade and we were able to garner some extra draft picks, and that was enticing, and you saw how that was. And then the same thing with Max. But there's two conditions that are completely different in both situations. One, when we traded Khalil Mack, we had a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback now.
You can't see my Raider water bottle, but
no. But we the thing of it is, we don't have a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback now. So I know this is probably going to strike up if there's anybody in the chat that is pro trade back or pro Mendoza. I totally understand the trade back theory. trade back, get extra draft picks because more picks, especially in the top 50, you can build your team faster that way as a whole. Correct?
If we have a system,
but you also have to realize that the hardest position to fill on the football field is a franchise quarterback. And so when you're in a position to get you a franchise quarterback, you have to execute that. You have to be diligent. Now, if for some reason Spytech and them decide that, well, maybe Mendoza could be a really good quarterback in this league, but he just doesn't push us up, and we get this huge offer from a team, say the Jets or even the Cardinals at 3, and they give us they give us 5 top 50 picks, and I'm not saying it from our perspective. I'm saying it from their perspective. You kind of got to buy into it and let them do their thing, because it can happen. But the guy next to me and I'm kind of the same way. It's like, we earned the right to get to this position, to get us a franchise quarterback, and so now we have to. No, I'm not pro trade back. Shut up, Jack. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Let him go, Jack. Let him go, Jack, because we're gonna get him with this here in just a minute.
I know sometimes it's hard for people to understand, but we're in a position to get a franchise quarterback. We need a franchise quarterback. When we traded Khalil Mack, we had a franchise quarterback, so that wasn't going to be an issue for us. So at that point, it was going to be build, right?
Yeah.
If we get the franchise quarterback, we still got 9 more draft picks to build the roster.
Yeah.
Right. We're still going to have probably about $25 million to spend in free agency to go and get these one year wonders to come in and bolster us and give us a little pizzazz this year. And that's all I'm looking for. Just a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of, we're trending in the right direction. And then let the next 2 drafts, let them cook, right? Because you're going to have that quarterback on a 3-year. The next 2 to 3 years is going to be very important to build the team around him.
And we need to do our part and be patient. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes. I'm 98.5% sold on Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
The only 100% is the unknown once we get him, as to whether or not the cohesion between him and Kubiak is going to be that harmonious, and where they can just sync together and just start kicking ass together as a combo. Because everybody knows, to have a good quarterback, you have to have a good coach to go with them.
But we've been burned before, Jay. We've been burned before, and you know why? You know why you're stuck at 98.5? Because of Henry Ruggs.
No, Henry Ruggs has nothing to do with that. No, not
because
Henry Ruggs.
You can draft the perfect player who, in my opinion, was the best running wide receiver out of those other 3, and he crashes his Corvette. How the F? What the F? Like, we can't have nothing good.
No,
and so Mendoza
that's
can
not
do everything.
That's not the PTSD. That's not the PTSD that I have. The PTSD that I have is actually watching other franchises when they go out and they get that quarterback, right? They're at the top of the draft. They're picking 1 or 2 because they suck, and then they're going to draft this quarterback, right? And this quarterback might be pretty good, but the coach that they have in the coaching philosophy and the other coaches don't jive with him. There's no cohesion. There's no bring it together. Because let's face it, Joe Montana is not Joe Montana without Bill Walsh, correct? John Elway is not John Elway without Mike Shanahan. John Elway had a very good career before Mike Shanahan, but when Mike Shanahan came in, he uncorked John Elway. Brett Favre is not Brett Favre without Mike Holmgren. Okay. Pat Mahomes is not Pat Mahomes without Andy Reid.
But Jay, Mendoza isn't like Darnold or the kid that got drafted to the Jets or even the McMidget here that left.
No, I totally understand. I totally understand that. But you can also have a gym. You can have a gym of a quarterback, and if that coach can't get it out of him, it's useless. It's absolutely useless.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing the kid you're not doing any justice. And I don't see him. He is the best. I think he could be outstanding and get us to where we need to go to be a championship caliber team. But it's going to take more to build around him. But then again, there's no NFL franchise that's ever going to have just a quarterback take them to the Super Bowl. It takes way more than that. It takes a defense. You got to have rock solid defense. Your special teams has to perform at a top level.
Yeah.
You have to have a run game. The most important thing you need is to have a run game. Because if you don't have a run, if you can only run the ball for 40 yards a game, it don't matter who you have at quarterback.
And that's where everything has changed for us. And to get back to Duncan's question about like the generation thing, one of the things I was going to tell you, Duncan, is that I'm happy. I'm glad to see the new generation of Raider fans. And I have a godson, his brother, he's my godson too, Adrian, who says he started becoming a Raider fan at a young age. And I would joke with him, and I still joke with him when I see him now, like, I'm sorry for helping you become a Raider fan. I really am sorry to you, mijo, because it's going to be a long, hard life. But I truly believe that changes now. Touching back on what Jay just said, that quarterback now has, when Mendoza comes in, and somebody just put it right now in the comments, Janoko and Kubiak, right? Thank you. Right? Kubiak, Janoko, Mendoza, they're going to gel together. They all love ball, and they are nerds.
And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Football nerds, okay? This isn't some, jock quarterback that just came out of USC or Miami or wherever who's, look at me, can't wait to get my new gold chain and, my Ferrari and be Mr., I'm the quarterback of the team. This kid is built different.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys come out of college into sometimes the university that they come from.
No.
They walk into the NFL locker room and they feel they're entitled because they came from Alabama or things like that. Where this kid he's coming from Indiana where he earned his championship.
And before that it was Berkeley, right? And the key word, entitlement. I don't think Mendoza is entitled. In his mind, he is the most humble guy, and I don't even know if he knows the word entitlement. This kid is just he's different, and it could not, the story could not have been any better for the Raiders in a sense that I don't think Cam Ward could make it in Vegas if this were to have happened last year. No, I don't think that if we'd have waited till next year, if we'd have won in one extra game, if the Bears wouldn't have blocked that kick, we'd be hoping for Arch Manning next year. Do you think Arch Manning was going to want to come into this next year? Do you think we could have gotten Kubiak without? No. So
no, we wouldn't have got Kubiak if we didn't have that first pick with the chance to get Mendoza.
All these things have lined up. I really want to believe that the football gods have said, okay, these guys have endured enough. They're coming out. We're gonna find the key, open up solitary confinement, and let them out. So and I really believe that's going to happen for us.
Yeah. I've been dubbing this generation of Raiders as under Kubiak as the Las Vegas Holy Rollers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the era's over, man. That era's over. I believe the era is over, and starting now, the new era Raiders are now.
Yeah.
They really are.
This new era, it really truly has given me hope with how they've been lockstep from the GM front office to ownership, letting them do their thing, to picking out the right coach who's not telling us what they're going to do, but saying that we got to show you what we're going to do. Like, they're not giving us false promises. They're saying, we understand it's going to take a lot of work, but we're here to put in that work.
Yeah.
And this coaching staff isn't about getting a coaching position. It's about teaching. And that was Kubiak's biggest thing that I got from his pressers. He wants a staff full of teachers.
Yeah.
They want to basically re-innovate the game and go back to actually invest in the players' development, actually teach them, make them better, make them more knowledgeable. And that's some of the work also. It's not just pumping the weights. It's not just going out in the field, learning your X's and O's. It's about studying the game film. It's how do you do your position properly? How do you stretch properly? How do you do every little detail properly?
Yeah.
And that's something that I truly think that this young Raiders team can really get behind with Kubiak.
They want it.
Keyword to what you just said is young Raiders squad. Even the veteran free agents we signed are all like 25 and younger.
Yeah.
So it's still a youth movement. It's still a build. We're in building mode. I'm not going to use rebuild. I'm just going to say it as it is. This has been blank canvas for years. It just needs somebody to come in and actually do it the right way. And that's what I had the same emotions last year. And I felt confident, but I also knew that Pete Carroll was just a temporary, that was only going to be temporary. I was hoping he could have started something and handed the baton off to somebody else to run with it and make it just explode and be fiery. That wasn't going to happen.
Well, what if it had ended up being Saleh like they had wanted? Would we be even talking about Kubiak right now, and Saleh would have been taking over for Carroll?
No, I don't think Saleh would have got fired. I don't think Saleh would have got fired after a 3-14 season.
No.
There was more to the Carroll. It wasn't just Pete Carroll, but it was also the extreme nepotism and his inability to really work with the GM, because that's one of the things that Mark Davis really looks for when he hires people is, can the GM and the coach be cohesive together? And if they're not being cohesive together, he has to readdress that. And that's why the moves that were made in the offseason, and the smartest move was keeping the GM, knowing that he didn't really have a chance to put his stamp on it. He started late as well as a GM because he got hired late. And so a lot of his scouting details and reports and his quote unquote people that he worked with weren't available to him no more. So he had to kind of start over from scratch to build his draft board and things like that. And then having the coach was, Mark Davis had said that the coach is going to have input in the draft when he hired Pete Carroll. Fire Drew Scruden, please. Well, one way or another, something's got to happen. But
what's up, Raider Jeff?
But having said, with all this, tying all this up into a bow, is number one, the Raider fans and Raider Nation in itself, we will always be here. Players are going to come and go, and especially more so now with free agency than what in our generation. We didn't have, generate the free agency started a little bit later. That our legends stayed with us no matter what. Now our legends can they get a second contract from us? Yeah. And then they become a quote unquote lifetime Raider, or forever a Raider. We just haven't had that in the last 20 years. We don't have our and I think Max,
they're chasing generational money.
Well, I think with Max, though, he still even if he went to Baltimore, I would have still considered him a Raider forever because of the 7 years that he put into this organization and didn't get it. He put a lot into it. Didn't get anything out of it per se. Derek Carr, I think Derek Carr's, he's a Raider forever. Yeah. So guys like that, it's going to be spotty. At best, it's not going to be a collective group until we get to that point where we bring groups in. Let's say, for example, we run with Genty and Bowers for the next 6 to 7 years with huge success, and then we bring in a receiver, or let's say a defensive tackle this year, and those two linebackers that we got in free agency all of a sudden say, "Hey, I like this Raider stuff. I think I'm going to stick around here and get me another contract," and then those guys become once a Raider, always for a Raider. But to put everything in perspective so everybody in the chat can understand, and this is my viewpoint, you guys can agree or disagree, is that we as Raider fans are the Raider Nation. We are the organization depends on us more than we depend on the organization. And it's time for us to make sure that we stand tall, stand proud. So when they do when our team does bring it back out onto the football field the way we want it and the way we like it, I think it will be more electrifying. I think Allegiant Stadium could become. Nothing will ever match Oakland Coliseum, ever.
No.
Ever. Never.
But wait till we start winning. That place is going to be rocking.
It's gonna be rocking and it's gonna be loud, but it ain't ever gonna be the Oakland Coliseum. But it could be something different and something special and something that we can call our own and enjoy. But by golly, it's got to start, and it's got to start now.
I believe it has. I sat in front of Joe Coy and Sandra Douglas Morgan, our president, president, and Jim Plunkett and Jim Otto. Freddie Blitnikoff were sitting behind us, where I was sitting for the home opener. So it was nice to see the old school there and them represented. Also, the house band starting the game off with Phil Collins in the air tonight was Carlos Santana's wife was on the drums. It was absolutely incredible. When this season gets going and we show improvement, I'll be happy. I will even try and make a game or two if I can this year. I'm that fired up. I am ready for whatever this is. Call it a rebuild or build or whatever. I'm ready for it. I'm happy for it. I'm willing to have patience and not be so, if we lose a tight one with whoever, it's okay. So long as we're getting better and we see that improvement. And I think we will. Yeah. Kubiak has a vision. Give him time to implement it. Raider Nation, that's all I'm trying to say is give him time. Okay. Cool your jets sometimes. I know we get fired up. We all want him to win. We all want, but let him cook. Every player that is coming back like Bowers and Genty and Miller and Max are all going to be better this year. If they weren't already badasses, they're going to be better this year by the simple fact that Carroll is gone. It's addition by subtraction, and his nepotism is all gone. Yeah, these guys are going to actually get a great opportunity to show their skills this year.
Yeah, you got to bleach the walls of that stupidity that was there.
No, I'm ready. Yeah, I see you, Bill.
What's up, Billy? 401 Raider Jeff is in here, but he's just saying hi to other people. Yeah, he won't say hi to us, but he'll say hi to other people. That's fine.
Next effect thinks we need to get more of our alumni involved in developing the players, like Incognito advising our O-line to make them nastier. Incognito would be interesting to bring in as like an assistant coach, the O-line coach, but
he enjoys golfing too much and he loves his freedom.
Yeah. Well, he's also on a podcast now too, right?
He might be, but I've interacted with him on Twitter, me and a couple guys, saying basically the same thing that you're saying.
What's up, brother?
And Richie's like, I love the golf too much. So yeah. But no, I agree. But let's flip that question around. Let me ask you, Jay, without revealing where you worked or anything you did, would you like to go
back?
They
all know anyways. I don't care.
Would you like to go back to your old work and help mentor and train?
Oh, I did that. I'm done with that shit. It's a different kind of people, man. And that's just it. And that's another thing too, is you can take from that question in the chat is it sounds nice in peril.
Yeah, no, it does.
For the most part, the style of football that most of those guys played versus the style today isn't the same. It's it seems like linemen have to be a little bit more athletic and less bullies nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now he says hi. Whatever.
Hey, Jeff. He said hi earlier.
Yeah, he did. I'm just rattling this cage. It's a small cage, but I'm rattling it.
So obviously things will never be the same as the Coliseum, and things definitely changed since they were in LA. What does this current Las Vegas Raiders, like, what are they missing? What do they need to really find their niche?
It's simple, Duncan. They need to win. If they start winning, everything becomes better. There will be more Raider fans in the seats, okay, which will make a better experience for us Raider fans. So I don't see a mob of 50 Charger fans or Bronco fans, or Steeler fans, Cowboy fans walking through the place, because that didn't happen in Oakland, right? If we want to keep it ours, we need it to be what it needs to be. We need to win, right? Because those seats are filled regardless. They're all sold. If you take the tour through Allegiant Stadium, which I did, they explain everything to you. They tell you that Microsoft bought the biggest suite that's in Allegiant Stadium. So I can only imagine what Microsoft wants anything to do with the Raiders and buying the biggest suite that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Salesmanship.
and so, but I think ultimately, and this is how I live my life, we all need to take ownership of it, right? And could some of us, talking to myself as well, be a better fan sometimes? Can we check our emotions sometimes and say, hey, we need to be better as a fan base? Can we extend a little more patience to some of our team and our players? Yeah, and I believe this is the time to do it. Understand the totality of the circumstances, man. We are so blessed and so happy and lucky to get Mendoza, to get Kubiak. A Super Bowl winning coach is coming to our team, fresh.
With the national championship winning quarterback.
And how you can't write a story better than that.
Mm-mm.
So we need to do something with this. What is our part as a Raider fan? For me, dude, don't challenge my fandom and say I don't love the Raiders, okay? I do, but I'm also old enough now, I'm 53, to have some patience so that this team develop. And if there's going to be some rough spots, believe me, it'll be okay, because they will never be able to undo Jamarcus, the fumble, Ruggs, Jacobs leaving, Mac,
Arnett.
Yeah. Win.
We can keep going on and on and on about all those catastrophes.
And as far as I'm concerned, Duncan, that's behind us. Let's move forward with Kubiak. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's let him and Spy buy the groceries, and let's see what they cook up for us. I'm all in. This is a new era of Raiders. I'm buying it. I'm all in, and I'm willing to give them patience, because you know what? If I don't, I'm going to go crazy, bro.
I'm willing to stand at the front of the congregation here as well, and explicitly say to everybody out there that when we hit the field in September with this football team, and we have, let's say we rip off some early success, right? We rip off a couple really good wins, a couple 3 wins or whatever. Now all of a sudden ESPN's playing our highlights. We've got an NFL Network playing our highlights. You cool your heels, relax. Okay. Don't get overhyped, but embrace it and just analyze it, embrace it, and be sure that this is better days are ahead. Okay. And then on the flip side of that, if we come out and say we're 0-3 or 0-4, but we're competitive, and you're starting to see our stars be stars and our players be players, that too is going to give you that, because the difference in winning in NFL football is plus or minus a few points every game. But it has to come down to, are we competitive? We had 5 games last year that as soon as the ball was kicked off, the game was freaking over.
Yeah.
It was over.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a super chat from DT Raiders 64 here. Can't lower our standards because of our past. We need to only play every down like it is their last. Exactly. You can't. There's no lowering the standards by any means.
Steve Smith, Napoleon McCallum, man, I've seen those plays. Joe Theismann, I've seen that play. They gotta play as if it's their last play. Yeah.
No, you just don't know when it's going to be your last one. You know, who knew that Bo Jackson's jaunt down the sideline getting tackled from behind, that would have been his last play.
Yeah.
You know, so it eventually comes around. Every franchise, eventually it'll come around to them. It just, our expectations as Raider fans is it shouldn't happen. I mean, we're almost we're working on 2 generations and not being able to witness winning Raider football. You know, so it's time to change that.
I completely agree. It's time to start changing that. But also, us as fans, I think we need to start buying into, let's have a total reset through the whole Shield, the fandom, the players, the coaching staff. Like, it's time for us fans to start buying in, because right now we're at the very starting point of something special.
Absolutely.
Let's get on board early. Let's start supporting this whole staff, this whole front office, the current players on the roster we got. Let's just start pushing in that positivity.
Let's not kill everybody for a mistake. We're all human. And if we want to see our players grow and get better, we can't demonize them and just beat them up over these things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't do that to your children.
And then, like, we've had a couple ex-military members come on as guests also, and it's like they could probably attest to it, but the military, they kick you down, but then they build you right back up.
Build you back up.
If you got something to say that's kind of nasty or whatever, make it something that you can build off of. Don't just talk crap. It's enough of that garbage. It's enough talking crap up to our players, to our GM, to our coaches. It's be constructive. Start bringing in positivity.
Kubiak is more silent killer. Yes, that's what I was trying to say in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the industry that we worked in, Al, there was 2 type of leaders. You had your loud leaders, and then those that can have command presence and not say a whole lot, and you still knew where they stood, and you still knew that you were going to follow that leader.
Yeah.
Thanks for subscribing, Michael Guerrero.
This one's for you, Jason.
We'll start winning when we trade back. Yeah.
They got a little back and forth going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we should trade back and get us a kicker.
No, hey, Jay, let me build off of that, right? What he just put. I absolutely agree.
Oh, hold on a second, Al, before you start, Al.
Yeah.
Don't feed into his conversation. He's
No. Hold on. You haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
Our 2nd round pick, if we fall back 4 or 5 spots and still get whoever we're looking at, like we did last year, and we can pick up an extra 3rd, okay, I'm all about that. But I'm sure he is not talking about our 1st round pick. He's definitely
no. He is.
He's
team trade back.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, he's team.
Maybe the 2nd rounder, the 3rd rounders.
And he's got some valid points, but not enough for me. Not enough for me.
But you know what though? That's just the beauty of our fan base, right?
Yeah. If you ever get a chance out, 805 Raider, he has Sundays and Wednesday nights. He has a podcast and does a really good job. He does film breakdown.
I think I know who he is. I think I've seen his channel before.
He coached in 805. What high school did you coach at in Texas? Because you said Johnny Cottrell's, he's an AD in Texas, right? At some high school?
Yeah. It's a Catholic school. I don't know which one it is. It's just it's right outside of Austin.
I never thought he would be an athletic director.
Well, while we're waiting on 805 to respond, the Raiders did end up hiring a longtime NFL assistant, Mike Sullivan, as their quarterback coach. He's 59 years old, and he played a key role in Eli Manning's young career during his time with the Giants.
Cool.
And now he's set to coach the number 1 overall pick in Mendoza.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that a real organization does when they bring in somebody like this. This young man's going to have all the outlets, tools, everything at his disposal to become good and be put in a situation to win. And like Jay said earlier, if we do win first, second, third games of the year, which can totally happen, right?
Lovejoy High School in Allen, Texas.
Because we may sneak up on some teams in the beginning because they're not going to have tape on what we're running and how they run or the system that we're running, right? And so we may sneak up on a few teams early in the year. That's completely plausible. But I see next effect. Look, if we can get our nose tackle, defensive tackle in the second, trade back into the second for Rodriguez, giving up a third and a fourth next year, I'd be happy. I love Rodriguez as a prospect. Absolutely. Get our captain on offense in Mendoza, get our a second captain, third captain in Rodriguez in the defense for years to come would be great. The only issue I have with that now is spending a second or third rounder on him now that we got Quay and Kobe.
I don't have an issue with that though, because Walker can be pushed to the outside linebacker spot because he's a guy that can move around.
I'm talking about giving up that extra draft capital when we already satisfied the need at linebacker.
See, the problem
we still need more linebackers.
I don't think Rodriguez is last past the bottom half of the second round. In my opinion, I think he goes a lot sooner than that. He's basically the Mendoza of linebackers.
He'll be right around 55 to 60 is where he's going to go, if not even sooner.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think top 45.
That's just it. I think there's some teams out there that love him just as much as everybody else does, and they're going to go up and get him as soon as they can. As soon as they see the opportunity to get him, they're going to get him. Yeah. Especially some of those teams that don't need linebackers that are sitting there at like 45, 46, 43. You know, it's like, hey, we'll give you swap seconds. We'll give you our third and our fifth. Okay. It doesn't take much to move up that far to go get the guy.
And Spytek did a really good job of it last year. I really liked how he was able to.
I still think he traded back too far though. Going from 34 to 58, you pass up on so much talent doing that, and especially some of the guys that we could have picked up in the meantime. Yeah. So I don't like that far either. You're right. Yeah, a lot of good GMs, they stick to that five rule, 5 up, 5 down. And because when you go from what were we last year? 34, we went back to 50. We went from 34 to 35 and got an extra third round pick. And we went from 35 to 58, got another third round pick, right?
Yeah. Sounds about right. I can't remember.
So that's how we got 99 and 100 or something like that.
Right. So going from that far back, I mean, there were so many people that so many guys we could have got. But I also think too that one of the reasons why they did do the pullback was that linebacker out of UCLA that I think they were hoping he slid to us and he got snaked up. Damn it.
Yeah.
So now it kind of put us in, and depending on what their cluster was and on the board, when they put their cluster up, the 3 or 4 people that they're eyeing at that position, if they're not available, then it's kind of like, all right, well, we'll probably end up having to reach just to fill the need.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many different positions we can go. I'm full on drafting best player available because they're going to end up starting. Yeah. And regardless what position they are.
A BPA that fills a need is a win-win.
Oh, definitely. For me,
because if a tight end at 36 is the best player available, we're not taking a tight end. That's obvious.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to do that. So at that point, you're gonna set your cluster. You're going to set your cluster based on what your scores are, on these players, and whoever has the highest score, if it's a safety and he has a higher score at 36, we're taking him.
Yeah. Well, for me, if he's there at 36, we take no matter what is Chase Basantis. the offensive guard from Texas A&M.
All your chips are going in right there, Duncan.
Oh, 100%.
No, man, I learned a long time ago not to put my chips in on everybody because I always develop a man crush in every draft, and then I'm severely disappointed.
And then then you're like 401 Raider Jeff throwing your hat across the room because you didn't get the guy that you wanted.
Yeah,
no, that's why I said if he's there.
But the guy who made the face when we drafted Cleveland Farrell, like you got to have a couple guys, that you're okay with at that position, And for me, it's the safeties, defensive tackles / nose tackles, cornerback. If a cornerback falls out of the first, that the staff, and that's the other thing. We see Mel Kiper, McShay, whoever, all these draft, on YouTube. But I'll tell you what, I'm just going to leave it to Spytech and his scouts to scout the best people that they want for our system, or the input that Kubiak is giving them for our system, because we could have the second best cornerback in the consensus fall to us in the second round, and we pass on him and end up taking a cornerback in the fourth round, and everybody goes, hey, what's the deal? Well, maybe that cornerback didn't fit our system, or they were higher on somebody else. They have information on players that we don't know about, Yeah. So I trust that.
And that's how they grade them based on what their system, what type of defensive system they're going to run. They're going to grade them plus or minus on that. And then their overall evaluation, from tape to athleticism to size, measurables, they throw all that in there into their formula, and that's what they come up with. And the beautiful thing about 36 is sometimes you're sitting there at 36, and this guy that you have maybe 15 to 20 on the board slides to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, edge rusher. Okay, well, we kept Kuntz, we got Max back.
Oh no, give me another one. I'll take one in the second round.
Hey, we're gonna run a 3-4. We're gonna run a 3-4 anyways.
Yeah.
So then why not line up this stud edge rusher at defensive tackle next to Kuntz on the outside on the right side? See what happens. Kwity Paye next to Max Crosby is going to be a wonderful. I think that's going to be really good. And then we can take the almighty Adam Butler and shove him down in that zero technique on passing downs, because I think on passing downs he could be deadly in the zero technique, even shaded one, high one or low one, in the gap. So because he still commands a double team. If his ball's rolling, he commands a double team.
R.I.P. Chester McLaughlin.
Who? Chester McLaughlin?
Oh, those were some good years he gave us. Gosh, there's a throwback.
Well, we got a couple questions from chat here. First off is Next Effect. If I may throw a question out to you guys, if you were Spytech and a player was on the board you wanted, but you had to trade up, who and how and what would you give up?
A lot of that has to do with the round. So let's say from 36 we want to go up to 33 or 34, right?
No,
so we would
us. This is you. You're Spytech. You have a player.
Me.
Who do you want to go after?
I'm John Spytech. I'm at 36.
So
I see a guy at 34. I'm going to offer them 34. Offer them my 36. And then a third and either a future fourth or one of our pack rat fourths that we got, because we got 3 of them this year. But it's going to be a high fourth, not a low fourth.
Who's the player?
Yeah, that's probably what it would take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Swapping second rounders.
Oh, you want to know which player I'd go up and get?
That's his question. Is who do you want?
Ty
and how would you get them?
And we're talking about a potential first rounder that falls back to us, right? One of those guys that, I mean, this is...
that's up to you. Like, do you want to trade up for a potential first rounder? Is there a guy in the second round you may want to trade up to get? Like,
I'll give a good example, right? The defensive tackle out of Ohio State, Caden McDonald, right? I see him going anywhere from like 15 to 37. Okay, in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say they are in love with him. comes from Ohio State. You know, it's blue blood. Let's blue chip. Let's get him in there. And he falls to 34, and we don't think he's going to make it to 36. Then yeah, swap seconds, a third, or maybe a third next year and the fourth this year, right? I think that's probably what it would take if that team in particular isn't picking him, you know. But if it's somebody that they feel they have him graded that high, I think that's something that they do, because we gotta keep in mind what their scouts are saying, where they have him graded, not Mel Kiper, not Field Yates, not CBS. You know, it's where the
Not
Raiders.
Dan Orlovsky.
Let's not even mention that jackass. Yeah, I knew Jason wanted Ty Simpson. You're seeing the light. Wrong. I like Ty Simpson.
I do.
like him a lot.
I like him.
I actually,
It's like
my
Fernando
comp
Moore.
for Ty, my comp for Ty is Derek Carr. Okay, knowing what we know now about Derek Carr, would we have taken him and moved up into the first round and taken him? You know, okay, he's not for the Raiders. We're getting Mendoza, so it's not even a question. Where he falls down, you know, by all means, they can talk it all up and whatever they want. But I like Ty Simpson as a prospect. I hope he does well. He's a good human being. But I hope he does well wherever he goes. But he's just not going to be a Raider. Mendoza is, so whatever. Oh, there it is. The defensive tackle Miller. If Miller falls as well, can you imagine how hyped Brock, Quay, McCoby, Johnson would all be to have another Bulldog on the team? Like those are the kind of things that keep players around and help them build, right?
We got a lot of Bulldogs already.
Yeah, and so bringing in another one,
wrong with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You know, it keeps the guys happy.
All right, the second question from chat was from Jack Kenna. Here's a question for you boys. Why not use a 320-pound J.J. Pegues as fullback? He had 7 rushing touchdowns in college. Felt he wasn't to his full ability.
Wasn't used to his full ability.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, that was gimmicky, man. Come on now.
So it just depends on where he's at now in his training and what his weight is, right? Because he may not be 320 now, but if this was John Gruden's team, oh, you'd definitely see Pegues toting the rock, you know, on goal line situations, in my opinion. Will Kubiak do something like that? Man, this dude is creative. So who knows? You know, maybe Kubiak does have a 10-pack of Gruden calls. I don't know. I would love to see it. And yeah, Bill, no Simpson, all Mendoza, all aboard, crazy train, Ozzy Osbourne. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Jack Kenna on next effects question. He said not trading up. Yeah.
I agree.
To me, it's all about sitting tight. I'm fine with picking at 36. We don't need to trade back. But when you're watching after your second pick, who is falling? And are they worth the trade up then? That's when I'm looking at trading up, is after our second pick.
And my thing is trading back to pick up another third rounder. If we can get another third rounder, we may be able to trade back up into the second. Or now we're looking at 2 picks in the third round, right? Maybe we're finding that wide receiver, because for me the wide receivers are in 2 tiers. There's 3, but 2 tiers are our first rounders, right? Mekhi Lemon, Tyson, and Carnell Tate. I really like him. But after that, it kind of falls off into like Omar Cooper and Surratt and a few other guys. Boston and Bell are like.
So I'm surprised Bell's as high as he is right now because of the ACL.
Yeah.
If he didn't have an ACL, he would be a locked first round pick.
Okay, so that's why I'm talking about the trade back. If you go for him with one of the 3 4th rounders, okay, right? ACL is going to take a minute. The expectations for him are not as high because he's going to be in the 4th round, or maybe even a 3rd round if you want to grab him before somebody grabs him in the 4th. Okay, but again, what do our scouts say? What does our medical say? All those things. And yes, we need a true lockdown cornerback. Can we find one in the 2nd or 3rd round? Yes, I believe so, especially with the schemes that we are going to have. The scheme that we're going to have now is going to allow us to have, instead of a rated 10 cornerback, we can now get away with somebody who's like a 5, 6, or 7, right? Because of the scheme and the pressure that we're going to be applying with this new scheme. We don't have to have Patrick Surtain in the back. We can get by with Johnson's in the back. That's my opinion. And I think
Johnson's.
Yeah,
Chris Johnson may be the guy at 36.
Exactly.
He's another one that'd be a good pick. That'd be a good value pick at 36.
Yeah.
But what's unusual about this draft is once you get off of the top 5 in the 1st round, you really start to see even when I was looking at one of the draft boards on Pro Football Focus, and it was like, once you get to like 40, from 40 to 70, you can pick, if there's a guy rated 70 on your board, but you take him at 41, you're not really there's not a whole lot of difference in the caliber of talent once you start to get up past that first or that second wave of talent, I should say. But even in the first, there's guys that are going to fall to 36 that are you're just going to go, wow, that's a 1st round talent. We're taking him.
Yeah. And hopefully this year we pull the trigger on it. That's where I don't want to trade back, because last year it bit us in the butt twice. Yeah. The first time we traded back, we missed out on Johnson from Michigan. And then the second time we traded back, we missed out on the
Ratledge.
guard. Yeah, Ratledge. Tate Ratledge.
Yeah.
And
it would have been phenomenal for us last year.
And then Besh seemed like a big reach, like we could have got him in the next round. But hey, they stuck to their guns. They ended up grabbing the guy they wanted. And hopefully it worked out.
I still wonder how much input that the previous coach had in that draft. That we'll see. This year's draft will tell us everything we need to know about what happened last year.
Yeah. Pete Carroll definitely had a big hand in it. Genty, I could see both Spytek and Carroll liking Genty. But Porter and Thornton are definitely Pete Carroll picks. Easy.
Yep.
But see. Next specs in, I want to see Porter grow a bit more. I think he can be special. I think we need safety help more. So if EMW is there at 36, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the opposite. I think we need more cornerback help, because really we only have 3 guys that we know can play. And we also aren't going to be running cover 3. So I don't think our corners are as good as we think they may be.
Yeah, but a really good free safety can mask an average cornerback.
Yeah. But that being said, EMW is more of a strong safety who can also play up in the slot, where like a Thieneman, he's a true free safety. Or
I would love to get Thieneman.
The kid out of USC, his name is slipping my mind right now, but both of them are true free safeties where they can do that stuff, and they're rangy enough to where they can make up some space if a corner gets beat.
Yeah.
And I truly believe all of those positions will be better based off of what the front 7 are going to be doing this year.
Well, yeah, it's definitely going to help. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And then Jack Kenna saying next there will be good, not great free safety in round 4. Yeah. There's a few guys that play a true free safety that I really like. There's also that kid out TCU, I think, is the college. But yeah, Bud Clark. Thank you, Bud Clark, and then Jalen Kilgore. There's a lot of talent throughout this draft that we could definitely.
Kilgore from Miami.
Yeah.
I like him.
Missed on the best free safety in Notre Dame. Watts, a stud.
Jack, just so you know, Jack Kenna's a huge Notre Dame fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he says trade back so we can draft Notre Dame's quarterback next year.
Oh, okay.
Carr?
Okay, yeah. the trade back, get picks. Well, we can gather a bunch of picks and trade up next year and get the quarter. Okay, stop with that bullshit. Because if there's three teams, there's only three really legitimate teams.
Yes.
If there's only three legitimate quarterbacks in the first round next year that stamp it where they're going to be 1, 2, 3 no matter what, and those three teams picking 1, 2, and 3 need a quarterback, you're not getting one of them. We just saw it with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. None of those guys were trading back. You could have offered them 500 first-round picks, and they weren't going to trade back. That's their guy. They're going to take him. Simple as that. So now you're stuck there. Well, we could have got then it'd be like, well, we could have got a franchise quarterback last year, but we wanted to get more picks and try and get one this year. Missed out on that one. So let's just keep kicking the can down the road until eventually the kid that's in the 8th grade will be our starting franchise quarterback.
Yeah. No, even Jack Kenna saying he wants Mendoza. No, honestly, us Raider fans just need to get on board that Mendoza's the quarterback. Like, flat out simple. We're taking the quarterback at number 1 overall. There's no guarantee we're going to be able to get a top quarterback next draft.
What if this kid from Notre Dame rips his Achilles, God forbid, mid-season, end of the season? You know, there's just no guarantees on that.
There's no guarantees.
No.
We got to strike while the iron's hot, especially this year. But this kid in particular, Mendoza, is an exceptional prospect.
Definitely.
And it was Keontae Scott is who I was thinking of from Miami.
Keontae Scott.
Also, on the other end of it, instead of like looking at the players on the uncertainty, look how we barely got the number 1 overall pick this draft. How absolutely terrible our season was. And
divine intervention, buddy. Divine intervention.
Yeah.
It was meant to happen.
Like, just take the quarterback. Don't overthink it. Don't think of some grand scheme that's not going to come true. Like, take the quarterback. Just
Don't
flat
think
out
of some
simple.
grand scheme that's not going to come true. I like that.
Well, we got this next segment Jason came up with. It's called Agree or Die. So first one here is Agree or Die. The Raiders are either building something special or are they repeating history?
No, it's real. I believe it. I'm seeing it. There's something about Kubiak's eyes and his mannerisms. I'm buying in. I know body language. I'd like to believe my own 2 eyes, and I believe what I'm seeing. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Genty, Bowers, Miller, all of it. You put it all together, and the draft, and Mendoza, and the scheme, the 3-4, on and on and on. I'm believing it.
Yeah. DT Raiders said we talk about front office, head coach, but we don't talk about the scouting staff. If we want to be elite, we need the best scouting staff. That is correct. I have not heard many people talk about the scouting staff on YouTube like for months. I will say though, in the Discord that Jason and I are a part of, we heavily talked about the scouting staff when Spytech was putting together his staff all last offseason and like beginning in the preseason. We were picking people that were great from both the Eagles office, took the Broncos
Brandon
right
Hunt
man,
was a steal.
Took some of the guys from Tampa Bay. Spytech pieced together a great staff, and I would not be surprised if in 2 or 3 years a couple of these people ended up becoming GMs themselves, if everything works out, and I do think it will.
I liked what we stole from the Eagles because I loved their draft. The last 5 drafts, I've just been like, oh my, how do you guys are just killing it.
Yeah. And then also a lot of people, when they're talking about scouting stuff, a lot of people are just thinking the scouting stuff are the guys that scout college players. That is true, but that's only half the story. You have legitimate scouts that scout other NFL team players.
Yeah.
The practice squad guys, the fringe starters, guys that are coming up off they're on a contract year. Like, you have legitimate scouts that are spending their whole year just looking at other NFL players that we could snag and who can fit the systems of the coaches that we currently have. And like, what player may not be a standout stud, but plays a role really, really well that could help our team too. So it's not just college players; it is pro players also. Agree or die, the Raiders' 1980s dominance was the Raiders' 1980s dominance more about elite talent or the culture built by Tom Flores and the system around it?
Why are you thinking?
Okay,
you shouldn't be thinking about it.
Well, I answered this one way earlier when we talked about it, and I thought about the culture because Tom Flores was an incredible, like, just human being. Like, you know, the guy was methodical. He was a strategist, all those things. But when you think back to those teams and that team in particular, that was in the midst of Al Davis's renaissance, where I'm gonna salvage these damaged goods from other teams. Plunkett, right? He was elite talent. Stanford came out. He just went to a junk organization. It needed for him to come over to us to get to his full potential, right? Marcus Allen was elite. Howie Long was elite. You know, Art Shell, all these guys, and they were just kind of being overlooked, right? And you could throw like Colt Miller into that, right? People argue he's a top 15, he's a top 5, whatever. The guy is quiet. He goes about his job, and when he's healthy and he's on the field, you can count on him. But how many people here own a Colt Miller jersey? No, you know. But yeah. I think the 80s team, witnessing it and watching it, the plays were. I mean, I watched Lester Hayes. That I think he had 8 interceptions in that year. How many interceptions did the Raiders have as a whole last year?
In 1980, Lester Hayes had 13 interceptions.
Who does that these days?
Yeah.
Why is that man not in a gold jacket right now?
Oh, because he wore stick on.
You know,
so everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. But there was talent there, but it took somebody special like Tom Flores to put it all together, right? Yeah. Matuzak, Alzado. Can you imagine those guys now on the team?
Well, they wouldn't pass a drug test today.
Yeah, no, for one. But
how's the saying go, guys? You first find great coaches, and then you bring in great players.
Yeah.
So tell them one thing: just win, baby.
That's it.
Hey, so if you had to choose one moment as the true peak of Raider greatness, is it the sea of hands in 1974 under John Madden, or was it the dominance of Super Bowl 18?
I can't. I can't speak on those.
True peak.
Probably see. I'd have to go with sea of hands.
If you listen to the question, the true peak, Super Bowl 18 was the peak. We just been coming down the hill ever since.
For me, it was Marcus Allen running the football against Washington.
Super Bowl 18. Yeah. Vivid memories of that game. Yeah. It was epic.
Yeah.
You remember that game, Duncan? Hard truth. Did the 2000s Raiders failure start with the roster, or was it the constant coaching instability after the John Gruden era ended the first time?
The constant. Nobody was allowed to. I say not allowed. Nobody was able to buy their groceries and cook. Parcells said it best. If you want me to cook, you got to let me buy the groceries.
Oh,
Al was meddling in everything. Janikowski, that says it all. You didn't allow Al was making the picks for whatever scheme he had concocted in his mind and wasn't letting the coaches get their guys.
yeah.
In my opinion.
Another prime example was with Lane Kiffin when they got Jamarcus Russell. Lane
Thank
Kiffin did not want Russell.
Can't
He
coach
wanted
him.
Megatron and Edwards in the second. Would have been great.
Yeah.
Would have been great. Or even Adrian Peterson and Edwards in the second. Trent Edwards, Stanford quarterback. I remember that draft well. Yeah. Sucks. Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah,
83 defensive line. Jeez. Bill Pickell. My dad
Yeah.
loved Bill Pickell.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love Greg Townsend. Yes.
Greg Townsend.
He tried not to throw towards hands. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. He was the first shutdown cornerback.
Who's that?
Lester Hayes, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of.
Yeah.
He was a big guy, for a cornerback, and he was actually came out of college. He was a linebacker in college. They moved him to cornerback, and he was so physical and fluid with his motion and how he moved, and he just stuck to people, like, not because of the stickum either.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that stickum really didn't last that long. It was like you put it on your hand after about 2 or 3 plays, it didn't work no more, and he'd keep rejuvenating and whatnot. And so by the end of the game, he looked like a kindergartner's art project by the end of the game. But hey, while we're at it, got one for you. So I think we kind of talked about it. But who is more impactful to Raiders' identity? Al Davis as a visionary or as a decision maker who sometimes held the team back late in his tenure? So there's two blessings that we have from that man.
Yeah.
It was his vision, and not just for the Raiders in and of itself, but his visionary, what he perceived the AFL to be going into with the merger and whatnot, and how his football acumen was just unbelievable. He was a scout is basically what he was. But as a decision maker later in his tenure, it became he started to rely. Well, they were still doing their draft reports on 3x5 cards up until he passed away.
Next Effect says it well right there too. He reiterates what you said. He says if he would have listened to Kiffin about Purple Drink, we would have been amazing with Megatron. And especially with what Kiffin had planned at the time, which was to draft a quarterback in the second round. If Trent Edwards had fallen into the second round, that's when he was going to grab him. Would have been a great core for many years to build upon. And then we all know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That number 1 pick ruined us. And then we started trading, making these god-awful trades and giving up first-round picks to get, one of the things that if you go back in time and you look at the historical where we started to decline as a franchise without Davis still calling the shots and running it, is when the advent of unrestricted free agency occurred. Because one, he didn't really understand the concept of unrestricted free agency, and number 2, he didn't have the money to participate, such as the DeBartolos and the Joneses, and people like that, because those guys had ungodly amounts of money to go throw at people to get, to build super teams where, Al had to take out a loan just to get, a player, and then we're paying interest on a loan for a free agent, and then he would stare at the games. And he would see Larry Brown or Desmond Howard or somebody like that was a Super Bowl MVP that they're a free agent, and he'd go out and sign them because they were the Super Bowl MVP. And it was like,
But
Larry
they
Brown
didn't
really
fit
won
our
that.
system. Brown didn't fit our system.
Larry Brown didn't fit 7-on-7 system.
He
That guy
was
was
just-
he the Cowboys were like the reason why he played for us is because he had to.
yeah.
And we had Dion on the other side. And then of course Neil McDonald in that Super Bowl threw him the ball. I mean,
Yeah.
So
All right. Final take. Which Raiders era was more authentic Raider football? The hard-nosed dominance of the 1970s under Madden, or the explosive but volatile 1990s under Art Shell?
Can you repeat that again?
Which Raiders era was more authentic Raider football? The hard-nosed dominance of the 1970s under Madden,
Yeah.
or the explosive but volatile 1990s under Art Shell?
I've forgotten about Art Shell's tenure. I mean, not really, but the 70s, we get shown that is shown every weekend, in some shape or form. Some old school Raider getting, splattering somebody somehow, or John Madden getting lifted up on shoulders. I think that defines right there.
Kind of surprised the 1980s wasn't involved in this question to pick also with Flores.
Yeah, I ran into Lester Hayes a couple months ago over at the DMV as well.
This is to answer Jack Kenna.
Yeah,
I'm 6'4".
yeah,
I think Lester Hayes is pretty tall.
Yeah.
For a cornerback.
yeah. He's a big boy.
So, I mean, just wanted to.
Yeah.
No big deal. But yeah, he's a pretty tall guy.
Oh, yeah, big boy. Big hands too, man. Big hands.
Big hands. Yeah. And he'll talk your ear off too. Good Lord. It was just me and him there for like 15, 20 minutes, just sitting there talking about a lot of it. We were talking about the kids because he was there for a Pop Warner. He helped coach the Modesto Broncos football, youth football. And we were talking about the kids and stuff and whatnot. And then he goes, "Hey, I'll be right back." Like, "Where are you going?" And he took off and he comes back and he hands me a little card that he's autographed, And I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah.
He's like, "I give you an autograph." It's like, I got your autograph like 500 times.
Jay, I'm going to have to get going soon.
Okay.
Take the medication.
Me too.
But also I want to say this. Thank you for having me on. I really
Thanks for coming
appreciate
on,
it.
brother.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you guys and to meet some of your followers.
Yeah.
We're all doing it for the love of the team. We're all focused on that, and I think it's really awesome to be a part of that. And I got a question for your next show. Duncan, you want to write this one down?
All right.
Because somebody just alluded to it right here. The only Raiders I got to meet was Rod Martin and Lorenzo Neal when he was on the team. So to your listeners, write it down or ask it in the next show. We want to know about some of the Raiders you've met on and off the field or ran into or met or got autographs, or if there's any kind of stories about that, because I've got a few myself, but I think that would be really cool to hear other people interactions with players.
Yeah. I've met a lot of them.
Yeah, we all have. We all got stories, so I think that'll fill up another 2 hours.
Yeah. In fact, I think Todd Marinovich still has a broken bone from when I tackled him to try and get his autograph.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll wrap it up then. I mean, it was a great show. Had a lot of fun. Chat was really active. Thank you guys for the feedback and the questions yourselves. And
yeah, those of you guys in the chat, Jack Cannon, Next Effect, Michael Guerrero, Billy Hackett, thanks for coming in, brother. I guess so. We'll be hollering at him soon.
DT Raiders.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appreciate all of you guys.
So everybody coming in.
Ryan Tamales.
Especially 805, yeah.
You know you love it, Joe.
All right.
Jay.
Yeah. So-
to have met Jim Otto.
This is the show. Show me your shield. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next week.
Cold open, counted out. Yeah, we heard the talk. Cold nights and long losses, still we walk. Scoreboard hurt, but the heart stayed real. Still wear the black, still flash the shield. From Oakland roots to Vegas dust, pain in the season, but we still trust. They say it's over, I say move on, but